Hello everyone, here is the photo reference that I show you today in class, and here is a quick demonstration of my sketch, my preparatory sketch for the watercolor painting that we will be doing next week. So now you can see me drawing, sketching lightly with a HB pencil or a B pencil. You can use either, just very few lines, just very lightly sketched, so that we can start constructing the composition. As you can see as well, I'm trying to hold my pencil not too close to the tape so that not to retain too much control. I don't want any control at this stage, especially now, because I just want to map everything on my paper and I don't know very well where to go yet. I need to study my subject. So can you see, if I make a mistake or something doesn't look right, it's a lot easier to adjust if it's just very light lines. And at the same time, when we look at the subject, we need also to start thinking what to include, what not to include, what to adjust. Even if we want to include everything, we still have to make adjustments to the photo reference. Always remember, the photo reference is only a reference. It's not the ultimate goal. Is the one thing that is giving us an idea, good idea, to start building our own composition that will look good in watercolors later on. So here I'm trying to define the lines of the canal, the river bank, the canal, excuse my accent. At the same time, I'm trying to establish where that big tree is next to that bush. Then, as you can see here, I started to draw that big bush, but I then realized that actually perhaps the composition would have worked better with a smaller one rather than a big one as it appears in the photograph. Because if I included that very big bush there right in the middle of the composition, it would have overlapped with that lovely line angled up at the background of the composition, and I think we need to retain that line. I think it's nicer to keep it clean, and on top of that line instead add that line of lovely trees. As you can see here, I completely eliminated that big bush as I mentioned, and I added the big tree at the background and the other one on the left, which is slightly smaller. And now I'm trying to work out the branches of that lovely tree. That is quite an important tree because it's naked, it doesn't have many leafage, so it will allow us to see through the sky. It's our vertical element, is in the middle ground because it's just on the other side of the canal, so it's helping us defining the depths of the composition itself. For trees, especially that one that has lots of very tiny and fine brushes, I would try to concentrate my attention on each branch, not every single one, but on the biggest one, the one that a bit more significant. But do try to observe, take your time looking at the shapes of the branches, because otherwise if we just draw by memory or following what our head is telling us a tree should look like, then we might end up with something that is a bit too repetitive, or that simply doesn't work in the composition. So do spend some time studying the shape of trees of any subjects that you are drawing. Again, even if it's just early stages, there is nothing wrong with trying to control the pressure in our hands, and in doing so we start in building a bit of body, giving a bit of substance to that tree, to the branches, and we understand it a bit better. Now you can see I don't hold my pencil too far away from the tip, and that's because I need more control here. The subject requires more precision. As I always say as well, it does help to stand up while you're drawing instead of sitting down all the time, so you can keep an eye at the overall composition. Having a variety of lines, it does help a lot, because the tree in this case stops looking flat, and we need to consider branches that are going farther away from us, they come in towards us, or to the left and to the right. Try to think all around the tree, not just drawing branches that go to the right and to the left. Otherwise the trees tend to look a bit flat. Now I'm just trying to define the shape of that big tree in the distance. We don't see the trunk because it's most likely hidden behind that hill. Then we can move on towards the left and add all the other trees. Try not to be too repetitive as well. Here I tried to clean a little bit my page and erase a few lines that I didn't need it. Now to establish the height of that tree, I tried to look at the other one on the right, not the very big one, but the the one that is still in the background, and try to relate to that one. Mine is a bit bigger, but I think it works because we need a vertical element on the left too. The direction of these lines are very important because they will create depth. They will give it depth to the whole composition. So it's important that we have it accurate, or at least accurate for our own composition. Always remember that it has to work in our composition. Here I'm approximately trying to recreate the texture of that grass. Nothing too defined. Try not to be too repetitive either. That's the edge of the grass that touches the water. And now I'm starting with the foreground. And this is very important because when you then transfer your drawing into watercolor paper, all of this work will pay off, because now is the time to study, understand the shapes, understand where to place everything. And then when you transfer it to watercolor paper, you already solved all of those issues, all of those problems. It's always a good idea to have a few elements right in the foreground. Again, to create a sense of depth. I'm not going to go into too many details, but I just want to have a sense of that type of grass. And then there are some sorts of plants which I don't know the name of. And here I'm trying to draw the edge where the grass meets the path. Again, nothing too defined because the grass invades the path every now and then, so they overlap. See here, I didn't erase straight away the construction line, and it doesn't work. And if I remember correctly, then I erased that line and drew it again, the one on the right. Yeah, here you see me raising it because I really didn't like it. And here just very light lines to identify where the clouds are. And that's it. I can't wait to paint it with all of you. Ciao!